Hello and welcome to a very special episode of the Copa Club podcast. As always, I'm your host Nathan Joyce, but I'm delighted to be joined by Lucas Colovan, Maidstone's FA Cup goalkeeper hero. Lucas, I'm delighted to spend a bit of time with you here. Welcome to the podcast, and obviously congratulations for the recent win.
Thank you very much for having me. Well, about the win.
Yeah, look, let's start with that. Like, how on earth how do you even digest that? How do you go back to sort of day-to-day life for a little bit before you tackle the next round after such a monumental victory?
Yeah, it's still sinking in slowly. I think everyone is still wow, what a shock! What a shock! The whole community, the whole Maidstone fans, the players. Um, Gaffer, we always believed it, obviously, otherwise we don't get on in the pitch. And then it's just like, we have to believe to win that game, obviously, because if you don't go with that mentality, then it wouldn't happen. But yeah, everyone is buzzing. I'm so happy this to pull a great performance on the day. And not just myself. I think the whole team was just like great. The shape was just like unbelievable. The desire to defend the goal, to win the ball back, the communication between us, the encouragement that we pass into each other during the game, and obviously that we just pull out two unbelievable counterattacks, and we managed to win that game, which is still mind blowing, obviously. But yeah, I think everyone is happy. Who doesn't like underdogs?
Yeah, definitely. I think you're being a bit humble there because Ipswich had around 40 shots, so you had a very busy afternoon in front of goal. Not normally the goalkeeper comes away the most tired, but you must have been exhausted after that.
Yeah, especially Sunday, Monday, you just feel a little bit on the body. Obviously, the amount of shots, the amount of concentration of the whole game is not just the body, but obviously the mind, and the mindset needs to be 100% all the time, just because you need to see things, you need to pass to the team while you seeing it, and try to correct that in and a half seconds. So everything's like so sharp. Obviously, playing against the championship side is sharper, and so mentally after the game I was just like exhausted as well. It took me few hours to sleep that night. The adrenaline was is still like kicking in because it was too much. But obviously now getting back to the normal life, let's say, back to training, and we have another game on the weekend, important one, which is our priority, which is the league. The FA Cup is just the bonus, obviously. We never thought that at the beginning of the season that we would be like in the fifth round of FA Cup, and obviously the goal is for to get promoted this year.
It's a very professional answer. And you talk about like the mentality and the mindset, like even talking about the previous round, Stevenage, right? Stevenage and then Ipswich are huge games. And yes, you had the home advantage, but going away to someone like Ipswich who are flying in the championship, you talk about the mentality and like going in with the right mindset. But obviously the gaffer, George Jacobi, he's a huge name, right? And people in the media love him. But is he the same behind closed doors? And how has he sort of got you into that mindset of like, do you know what? We can actually go here and get a result because, yes, you said about the mentality, but you almost need that leader in front of you to really drive you and put that into you.
Yes, definitely. Gaffer is a great person, and if you don't know, it's his birthday today. So happy birthday,
happy birthday, yeah. I'm sure he's listening.
Yeah, great. So he's a great man, a great person, very honest man, great character. he's a great mentor. Obviously, whatever you see in the videos and when he's talking to people, he's just like that. Out of the cameras, he loves to help the players to see what's going on behind the scenes as well. Which not everything's about football. Sometimes he's struggling a little bit in life. So it's a great friend, obviously. Um, and I think he has the extra push on his words when we go into the games, and it helps 100%. His encouragement and his words. He almost he knows absolutely what words to use it to encourage you, and then for you just to go with the right mindset. And obviously, he's a man that loves like a hard work, because he was like that as a player. So he just won this us from us players as well, because I think that's the the first thing that you can do, put the heart rate on the pitch, and then obviously after that he comes the technical and then the mindset. But first of all, you need to match the physicality of the team, and I think that's his methodology of how to go into games as well.
What was he like after both Stevenage and Ipswich? Did he let himself loose a little bit? Did he enjoy the moment, or was he very much like, look, we've got an important league game coming back up, switch the mentality? Or does he switch off for a little bit? Does he enjoy the moment with you guys?
Yes, he absolutely enjoyed the moment that day, because it's rare moments. It's very rare moments in football. I know myself that football is a very ungrateful game, that we don't have many highs. So obviously, he said like you need to enjoy this win as much as you can, because you never know when you're gonna get this again in your life. So it's such a hype moment for everyone, for the players, for the club, for the whole community of Maidstone. And he's definitely enjoying it with us, and all this media attention going on right now, because it's something which is not common for us in the National League South. But definitely, it's just like a bus. Everything is just like so good at the moment. But it's getting now closer to the weekend, so we need to just calm down a little bit, because we have two very important games playing against of the Yovo, which is the leader, and we want to be doing well in the league, obviously, as I mentioned before, that the main goal is to get promoted.
Yeah, absolutely. The last thing I want to touch upon with the FA Cup before we do talk about yourself, but every time an underdog, shall we speak, gets through to the next round, there's always the video recording of the team getting together, waiting to see who you were drawn. And your team were a little bit deflated with the draw of potentially Coventry Sheffield Wednesday. First of all, I want to ask, if you were to draw anybody, like who would be your dream opponent, and why, before we get onto the actual draw?
Yeah. The dream I think would be a big Prem club. Obviously, going to the big five, or Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea. That there's two there. Obviously, for me personally, I would like or Man City or Liverpool to get at least like play against the Brazilian keepers as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
even Bournemouth would be like a great one with Neto. So personally, for us, I think would be so good. Just because the run that we've been doing, I think would be like a great prize at the end. Just go and play against a big Prem team, because I don't think in our careers we would be playing, or basically the chances to play against a big player and a big brand team. It's very rare in the whole career of our football career.
hopefully you get a chance in the next tie. But you must be looking at that Coventry or Sheffield Wednesday game with hope, right? Obviously, beating Stevenage, beating Ipswich, there must be a chance in there that you guys can go, do you know what? We can actually do this again and make it third time in a row and then get that big prize. So that mentality must be there for you guys to go and win that game.
Yeah, listen, you go to the games with the right mentality, as you said, and we never know. It could happen again. I think clubs now they would be more prepared because they know we're the underdogs. But yes, we just beat Ipswich last Saturday, so I think they will have a little bit of more respect in terms of that, and because they don't want to be losing for us, and obviously that it won't be looking good. But yeah, we're hoping that everyone can go again like a very very good game with the right mentality, and we never know. Let's see if we can go into the quarters,
big Prem
and
club and a big.
then we get a big Prem club there. It's nothing wrong about dreaming, no.
So look, best of luck in the FA Cup. But look, let's move on because our listeners are really eager to know how a Brazilian goalkeeper comes across to play in English non-league football. It's not really the traditional story, is it? So I want to go back right to the very beginning because when you were growing up in Brazil, yeah, players like Ronaldo, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho, Roberto Carlos, like the list can go on. It's the equivalent to me pretending to be Gerrard or Beckham in the garden scoring goals. So what on earth
Yeah.
made you decide to be the person between the posts, saving all these efforts from kids pretending to be these kids? How did that come about?
Uh, well, that's interesting because not even me, I know. Well, as a Brazilian, everyone dreams about it being a football player, and everyone is just like played football since they just born. We born with the football like on our foot, and and from that it's just like it starts being just like playing with the friends in school, playing in the streets, playing in parks or whatever. And when I was 12, 14, I was start going into more like academy football, and I just started developing myself a little bit. And one day I just decided, let me go in goal as well. Let me see how it looks like. And at my manager at the time, which like he was there, he was like, you're quite good in goal. I think you should pursue the goalie option instead of being like a player, an outfield player. And I truly believe him. And then
Here we
here
are,
I
yeah.
am. But yeah, and then I think from there it just started becoming more serious and going into 14, 15. So I started training more and developing my skills as a goalkeeper. Um, and I just want to thank all the goalie coaches that I had like in the past, and then the goalie coaches that I had have still now that taught me everything that I know basically. And then later on, you just teach yourself more as the technique is just the same as you've been doing for the last 20 years, you know. So now it's just more reading the game, the experience, the body shape of others, and then the body shape of your teammates to see how we're gonna affect and in the next play. So I think it's just more from that, from manager that believed in me and said that I was good, and I certainly believed in him, and and then it just went from
Was
there.
that from you? I believe you started out with Vasco in their academy, which led you to a bit of time with Brazil under 20s. How was that? How was that
Yeah.
experienced?
Wow, that was amazing. I finished my year with Vasco. I think was the first or the second year. I don't remember right now because I signed with them 3 years. And I was going back on my holidays back to my city because Vasco da Gama is in
Hmm.
Rio and I'm from Curitiba. So my parents picked me up from the airport, and on my way home, my goalie coach is calling me, and he's saying like, Lucas, something happening here, and then you might need to come back like in the next few days. And I'm like a little bit worried because like, why? You just gave me like 3 weeks off, why I need to come back right now? And then I mentioned that well, he mentioned that I've been selected to be on the national team under 20s, and I had no words. I was just like, I start crying, and then my parents, they just like park the car, and then they're like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And then I just like told them like in tears and everything, and then they start crying as well. So it was such like achievement like in my career, like because few years before I was just like with my friends skateboarding and and pursuing my career as a footballer. So yeah, that was such a good and happy moment for everyone, and then to see in the eyes of my parents as well, they were like so proud of me, and from young ages, and right now they still proud.
How did it come about from you wanting to leave Brazil then and move across? Because the next stop on your journey to England was Spain. So why did you decide to leave Brazilian football?
Yeah, so obviously the competitiveness in Brazil is
Yeah.
huge. The amount of football players that we have, and the quality of players that we have over there is ridiculous. So all the big teams, they will have the best of the best, and is very difficult for a young goalkeeper to break in to a Premier League team or a Championship team over there, because it's difficult that they will give you the opportunity as a young goalkeeper to they were gonna rely on you and say okay, now you are number one, but you're very inexperienced of like this pro like men's football coming out from under 23s to a pro. It's a big responsibility also for a goalkeeper. As you go as an outfield, you can still a little bit hide because you have nine more men
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
around. So if you miscontrol a pass, or if you just miss kick once, it's okay. But you, as the last resource in the field, very much you have the eyes on you, and when you have a mistake, and as a young goalie in a big club, it's very difficult to come back from that. So the clubs, they normally don't do that in Brazil. I decided to go in like on loans on the small teams and start my career from there. Meanwhile, I was in Athletico Paranaense, and it didn't work very well. So I ended up breaking my contract at the time, and start to go into like smaller teams as professional teams still, but smaller teams, and
Did that knock
it
did that
didn't.
knock your confidence at all? And did you want to build it back up? Or what?
Yeah, obviously, I want to build a backup because just wanted to show that I was capable of and going in and play into a big team one day. It didn't work very well in Brazil, and also there is so much as this mafia that going on over there, which is very sad, because if you don't have a good agent, they're not gonna put you in a good team, or if you don't give part of a percentage of your salary to the manager, they don't put you to play. So it's very like corrupted, I would say, because at the end of the day, it's just money and business. So you, as a young goalie, trying to break all these um, barriers that these people just been doing for years and years and years, is very, very difficult.
Mm.
So I was kind of tired of this culture, and I said to myself, I just gonna go to Europe and restart from zero, because obviously I just had my CV with me, but no one knew exactly who Lucas Covolan was. So I needed to go into clubs and then start like trialing to see if they would accept me. So yeah, 2 years in Spain, and it was great. It was great in Spain, but at the beginning it was a little bit difficult as well. Me as
Did you
a
just
Port
pack up and go? Did you have any contacts? Did you have any word of mouth, or were you just like, right, throw a dart into a map basically and go, Spain is going to be my calling? How did that actually come about for you?
Yeah, so I had an agent at the time, a Brazilian agent, and then he knew a few people in Spain, and then he said, "Okay, we might have a few clubs which they interested, and we can go, but nothing is guaranteed." And then I said, "Okay, let's go in this adventure, because if it doesn't work, at least I tried, and I can't say that I haven't tried. So I at least tried, and then nothing come up with. So I just go back to Brazil and then start studying or doing something else. So it was me and another striker that came to Europe with this agent, and the first stop was in Madrid. We start in few clubs around in Madrid, and
Real
it
Madrid.
was around. I wish. So it was yeah, few clubs around in
Mhm.
Madrid, and I remember that the league had started already. So it was like at the beginning of the league, it was like beginning of August, and all the clubs, they already had like goalkeepers. All the clubs had goalkeepers, because obviously it's the beginning of the season, so the season
Yeah.
started, so they have goalkeepers. But you always need another striker. So the clubs, they're like, oh, okay, I'm interested in the striker, but the goalkeeper we already have. Like we don't need a goalkeeper. So I ended up just going into when he was doing his trial, I was just going there and training, because for me it was like no already. At the end of the day, the clubs, they are interested in the striker, but then the striker decided to not to stay in the clubs because he wanted to stay together, let's say, because it was like a new world for us. So
Sure.
we wanted to start this career like here in in Spain together. Um, it didn't work in Madrid, so we moved to Mallorca, because another agent in Mallorca contacted my agent and said like, maybe there's few options here. So again, we went to Mallorca, and the sentences were the same. The story was the same. We need a striker. We don't need a goalkeeper. But then I said, okay, let me train, because I at least don't just be here doing nothing. Okay. So I started training for so a couple weeks on, and I think one goalkeeper got injured, and the other goalkeeper didn't like much the manager at the time, so they decided to break the contract with the goalkeeper. So then I had my opportunity, and I just took it, and then I was the number one till the rest of the season. And obviously, the manager at the time, um, by my training sessions, he saw it that I had a potential. He saw it that I was better than the other keepers that were there at the time, and he was just saying like, Lucas, I would sign you, but like I don't have more budget. And the goalkeepers that are here, like I signed into the end of the season, so I can't just like break their contracts. And I understood completely. But then when the opportunity came, I just took it, and then from there we just like going up and up.
So you've proven yourself in Spain, but obviously, as you said there, with goalkeepers, it's a difficult job because obviously on the pitch you make a mistake and you're out, and then they only need one, right, compared to 10. So I understand that. So
Yeah.
would you say your time in Spain was a success in terms of where it led you next, or was it more of like a learning to be more patient, a learning curve, learning about a different culture?
Yeah, I think it was more like learning a different culture and learning like another language because I went to Spain. I couldn't speak Spanish, and I'm a Portuguese speaker, but it still was still very different from Portuguese to Spanish. It, everything was just like so quick. I couldn't understand a word what they were saying. And in Mallorca, obviously, they speak Mallorquin, which is like a Catalan version of it. So it's just messing with my head as well because it's like another language. So culturally, I just love Spain, and I'd learned so much over there. As I mentioned, was just more to, I think, was a step to get into England, and I'm very glad and happy that happened. Uh, I wouldn't say the career there was very successful, but I I left my legacy over there. When I go back, I have a few friends, and they always remember me over there. They always mention that there were the two clubs that I've been with there. They always say like I was the best goalkeeper that they had. So I'm very very glad to hear that. And when I go there, I'm always very welcome. So that's great when you just have this love from this whole community of the fans and the club itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And after Brazil and then Spain, you chose to abandon the sun forever. And an opportunity came to England. And that first opportunity was with Whitehawk. And was that
Yes.
because there was an Argentinian manager? Was that the link there? Or am I just being a little bit lazy?
Yes, no, that was the link, and I abandoned the sun long ago because Curitiba, my city, is in the south of Brazil,
Ah, okay. Yeah,
and
sure.
it's really cold as well, and it's gray and rainy. So it's just like here, it's just like
A home
home.
from home. Yeah.
So yeah, so it led to Whitehawk, and with the Argentinian manager, he had this thought that he could bring the the South American way to play football into the National League South. We were 9 Brazilians at the team, if I remember, and then we had more two Spanish guys, one other Argentinian, and two more French. So
That's
it was a
crazy.
very
I didn't
yeah,
realize.
it was
Yeah.
yeah, it was a very multicultural team. And we had more Brazilians in the team than English people in the team. So the changing rooms was more like Portuguese
Yeah.
speakers than English speakers.
I'm presuming
Um,
all of that was like massively helpful when you first came across to England and settling in again to a different culture and a way of living. To have a dressing room which is predominantly your own must have been a great way to sort of start life in England.
yeah, I mean it it did help, but it didn't as well because obviously the more you speak Portuguese, the less you learn English.
Sure.
So it was more difficult than to get into the proper English football because it was like an easy way of settling, I would say, because that changed very quickly because obviously. we Brazilians, we are more skillful players, players that like to have the ball on the feet and then move the ball, and then it's a little bit it's slower, and then here in the National League South, it's much more physical, much more contact on it. So I think the Brazilians, the outfield players, they were not expecting that, and obviously the referees, they just like play on, play on, play on, play on. Is a very different game from South American football, and I would say as a goalkeeper, I didn't see much the difference because I just need to be there and then save whatever is coming,
Yeah.
So my job is stayed the same.
Was there a difference
And
with like set pieces, like where a lot of people like trying to elbows in and putting more pressure on
yes,
you and stuff like that?
yes,
Yeah. Hmm.
yes, that was a very very different one, because obviously they just throw themselves like into the goalkeeper, the referee just go like play on, play on, play on. So it was like a quick learning, but again, I think it caught all the other Brazilians by surprise how football was here, and we didn't succeed, as in taking the National League, taking the South American style into the National League South. So then that led to Pablo Asensio get sacked, and with all the other Brazilians, and I was the only one that stayed behind.
Was that a positive or a negative? How was that?
It was a positive at the time, because they saying like, listen, you have something, and then we want to stay with you. But with the other Brazilians, they decided not to stay with. So yeah, I took as a positive. But then another English manager came at the time, and I would say he didn't like me very much. So we had very very much downs when he came, and I got moved to not a move alone to Lewis, and that was my, let's say, proper first English team that people liked me as a foreign, let's say, and then they understood that I was a foreign, and then they respect me that way, so I'm very grateful for being at Lewis that time, because it was a moment on the career that I said like, wow, if this is like in all clubs in England, I don't think I'm gonna stay in here, because it was kind of um, is race is a strong word, so I don't want to use that, but yeah, back in my head, it was kind of like that. So Lewis just like took me in, and then for that month it was just like great. I think we were like mid-table at the time, and then we won all the games when I went there. So and then I just left the club when they were like nearly top of the league. So it was
So rub your hands together. You've done your bit. You've gone in, won the
yeah,
games. But that's another
yeah,
good confidence boost. There seems to be a little bit of a
yes,
theme for you here. When you've moved somewhere else, it's almost like you're proving yourself at a different club. Like I actually
yeah,
am a good goalkeeper here, and I deserve to be here. Where sometimes
yeah,
that can probably get lost along the way on there, because obviously being a goalkeeper, and you said right at the beginning of this podcast that football is very unforgiving at times. So it's great that month at Lewis led you to Worthing, I believe, in the end. Was that your next step?
yeah. Well, I came back to Worthing after I came back to Whitehawk after the loan
Yes, yeah.
at Lewis, and I finished that year at Whitehawk. And then after Whitehawk, I moved to Worthing. And at Worthing, at the beginning of the season, Gary Alfake was the manager at the time. It didn't work well, so I think of a third of the season, he got sacked, and Adam Hinchwood came and then did and still doing like a very very good job at the club, and he took me in, and we start playing from the back, and then we started getting very successful of it. And me as a Brazilian, I personally like playing from the back as well.
I noticed when you said that you smiled, and I was like, "Yeah, back to football on the floor rather than just sending it long." Yeah,
yeah, exactly. But again, I'm here, so I always like to say like I'm a chameleon, so I just like suit whatever what the environment is. So if the manager wants to play long, we play long. If the manager wants to play short, we play short. So we just very true need to adapt whatever the manager wants, because at the end of the day, it's his team. Is it?
it's a good trait to have, and we're almost like over half an hour into this podcast, and we've only got up to the Torquay. Your move to Torquay, and talking about that, and it's that Wembley game, which must have been so bittersweet. But let's draw it back to the goal in the 97th minute, and you've probably told this story a million times, and you never have to buy a drink ever again in Torquay. Talk me through the goal if you can, because I've watched it a million times before jumping on, because I wanted to familiarise myself with it. And you go back after the failed corner, and then you sort of say, you know what, I fancy myself here, and like over to you to sort of tell the story, really.
Yeah, I think you're right about the drink part in Turkey. No, I'm joking, but yeah, I still remember and give me the chills when I remember that day, because obviously he's scoring a goal as a goalkeeper and under the circumstances in the 97th minute, and in a playoff final as well. So it was just like mind blowing, mind blowing. I remember going up for the corner, and the corner was like a short, so he hit the front man. So the front man had it to a leading to a throw in, and I was going back to my goal, because obviously this is leading in nothing, is a throw in. But I seen that Armanelito just take it very quick, the throwing into Jake. And when Jake looked up, and then I seen that he's gonna put the ball in the box, I said, "Okay, let me try to get a contact here, because obviously we goalkeepers, we have the good timing on the ball. So when I see the ball just flying over, I said like, okay, let me try to get something here, and if there's a scrap into the box, and then someone just like put it in, and then like, I did my part." Um, so I read the fly of the ball very good. I would say the run, it was a great run. I watched it back, and then I was like very impressed with myself. When I'm a little bit down, I just go back in the video and say like, "Oh my days, look at this moment!
Oh,
Look what you
100%.
produced."
If I had a moment like that every morning, that'd be my alarm clock. I'd wake up to that moment every day. It's such an incredible moment,
It's
and
like just the header, like
it's
just
just
the
the
header
it's
doing
the
like
head, 100%. I'll be going around the flat all day just popping it. But like you said, it's maybe I didn't even think of it from that point of view. You said with goalkeepers the other way around, timing the leap or anything. Obviously, you had to make sure you
Yes.
didn't go with your hands, but you probably used to. But timing the leap there and getting it is probably an advantage, isn't it? So
Yeah.
maybe goalkeepers should go for corners more often.
Yeah, that's true. And then also that I remember Acer Hall, the captain at the time, he was reading so well the flight of the ball as well. And then he heard Hartlepool goalkeeper saying like keepers, and then he kind of blocked the keeper on the way, because he's yeah. So if you look back on the video, you see her like probably like jumping early just to block a little bit of the keeper out of the way. Just
VAR would
to
have ruled that out nowadays if that was introduced. No, I'm
well,
joking.
if
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It went in.
doesn't matter, doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Yeah, I think it was very clever from him as well. But when I managed to get the contact on the ball, and then I look it, and then I see the ball bouncing before entering the goal, which was like in slow motion. At that point, it was just like I didn't know how to celebrate. It was just like a whole full emotion, and then the whole stadium and the whole bench, the whole team, they just like came to celebrate together. Obviously, we still had the extra times, and I had to calm myself down a little bit, which was like I need to had a talk with myself, like Lucas. Okay, you did the unbelievable. We think about this after the game. Now we need to be focused on the game again. Um, so calm yourself down, and slowly. Then we got 50 minutes for the first extra time, then like another 15 minutes, and then it led to the penalties. I managed to save two of the first two in the penalty shootout, and unfortunately we lost. But I remember in the penalty shootout, I was like so confident, and I wanted to pass that to the team also, that for them to see that I would save the penalty. So I would do my part here, and then you do your part, and then we're just gonna be successful today. It didn't happen, which was just like a roller coaster, that game, obviously, because it was scoring the goal and then losing in the playoff final. So he was just like, I'm happy, I'm not happy, I'm happy, I'm not happy. So it was just like, and then after the game was just like all these media and things again, and just like Twitter and then Instagram, and like just whatever I was just like scrolling down was just like my goal, and then people just like commenting on it. So it was just like a great day, but it could be greater, let's say.
Yeah, for sure. And do you think because you scored that goal, you had the adrenaline there and the confidence to save those penalties? Yeah, I know you said your team didn't get you across the line, but you more than did your bit that day, get into extra time with the goal and then the two penalty saves as well. Like, you must have been delighted with your overall performance. I know it's hard to look at it now, but now you've had time to reflect on it. I know
Yeah,
I'm trying to be positive here for the sake of the podcast, but like
I
yourself that day was unbelievable.
I know. That's interesting as you said that, because I'm really, really autocritical myself. So the thought after the game was, have I done enough? You know,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it was more like, oh, I saved two penalties, but I could have saved three at least, to help a little bit more. I could have saved four, So that was the kind of mentality of me going after the game, and because people were just like happy and buzzing because they scored a goal and everything. But on my point of view, it was just more like, I don't know if I did everything that I could. People were saying like, Lucas, you did everything that you could. But then I'm so autocritical, and then just saying like, maybe if it was like half a second early that I jumped into the right instead of jumping to the left to save that penalty, I know it's just like a small percentage, and then just like being perfect. But it's how my mind works, which is like auto sabotage me sometimes, because sometimes you just need to say like, look, as you did what you could that day, and your teammates let you down basically. But yeah, it was like a little bit of questioning myself again.
I mean, look, most goalkeepers don't even save one penalty in a shootout, and sometimes goalkeepers don't even make a save and they go through because the opponents hit the crossbar or the post. So I understand the mentality there, because you obviously have a winning one, but I think you are being critical on yourself, and like hopefully you can look back on that day in the future and go, do you know what? Like that's one hell of a moment for my kids to probably get bored of that video one day, but you will never get bored of it, that's for sure. But look, not necessarily that moment or that season with Torquay must have been tremendously high in on your career list, because obviously that earned you that move to Port Vale, and almost at long last you were in the Football League. What was it like progressing from? Did you notice a huge difference from playing non-league and moving up with Port Vale? And Was that
Mhm.
a pressure environment, and how did you deal with that? How did you find the transition from Torquay to Port Vale?
Yeah, I feel that the transition of the National League into the League Two, I would say like the 10 clubs on the National League, I would say they would have a chance to play in the League Two. You know, is a very similar game. But the transition to the National League to the National League South and North is huge. I think the gap is much bigger, the National League South and the National League North into National League than the National League into the League Two. Uh, I don't agree much with the system of like one club only gets promoted and then the other club gets promoted into the playoffs, because it's such a difficult and competitive league. And I think they should look back a little bit
Yeah,
on that, at least get the first two and then the third one get um, into the league, you know. But going into Port Vale, it was a dream. Obviously, that was my dream coming to England, to get into the league. That was the goal. And since I stepped in here, I said like I need to go in and play in the league because I have the potential, and then that's what I want to do it. Going into Port Vale, it was a little bit tricky because I had everything. The club provided me everything. I can say I had good wages. Was living in a very good house. The club was providing everything that they could. Everyone was just like good, and that was a good environment. Obviously, we in that same year we led and then succeed to get promoted to League One. Um, I can tell personally that I was not myself on that year at Port Vale. I don't know why it led me into such a well. I was depressed when I get to the league. Obviously, it was not right away, but it was few months leading into Port Vale, and then I started getting depressed. I started getting mental problems, like let's say as a and I was just like doubting myself a lot, which is a mind is something very powerful, and I'd like to speak about this as well because and I'm not ashamed that I say that I was depressed at the time, because I can, if someone is hearing us right now, I can tell that you need to speak up with someone. You need to be brave and then get out from this, because it's a very deep hole that you can put yourself in, and then it's very difficult to come out from it. So just tell people, just be brave and then talk to it, because for me it took me long time to realize that I was depressed, and then it led me that I was not at my best performing, and also when the mind is no good, the body is no good, so it starts leading into minor injuries, and that affects a lot on my performances. And with the help of Port Vale and the PFA, I got through it, seeing psychologists and talking through it. It was like a slow process till I could bring myself up again. But I have nothing against Port Vale. Of course, they always provide me everything that I could work with. It was just myself at the moment that I was not the best. And again, nowadays I came for it. Like I'm very happy, but at that moment it was not very good, which is led me into red cards and being aggressive on the pitch, So all these things is just like leading into just a down moment of the career, obviously. And football is something that it changes very quick. So if you're not good, and it's a business, obviously. So I was not good, and then they decided me to put in the bench, and then I was injured as well, so they bring another keeper in. It led that at the end of that season, I was going back into the bench because I was starting getting better and better and better. I remember in the playoff final, that was on the bench against Manfield. When we won it, I was just like so happy for everyone, just like so happy for myself as well, because I was starting to bring myself up again. And I still remember the time when they passed me the trophy just to lift it to everyone. I just like couldn't stop crying because it was just like such a difficult year. So it was like all that memories of like being so down to that moment of lifting the trophy. So that just like led into the next season, which Port Vale spoke with me and said like we're not gonna use you in here in League One, so we're gonna decide to loan you. So I went to Chesterfield last season. I thought that my mind was just like better in terms of like playing and everything. In the first game of the season for Chesterfield, he got sent off, and obviously my mind was still not like in the right place. So with Chesterfield, they I want to just thank again Chesterfield and then the psychologists that they helped me go through it again. So I've been speaking with like psychologists like in the whole season again, trying to see what was going on in my mind, why I was like sabotaging myself, how I could manage to these red mist that sometimes appears in my mind to not appear. So nowadays I have loads of strategies that I can go through it when I see a little bit of red during the games. And I have the strategies myself so I can calm myself down and just focus on the game and using that aggressiveness that obviously we need to have the aggressiveness to play the game. But is a focused aggressiveness, not just like a stupid aggressiveness, like which is gonna lead you like into a red card. But obviously now I have full control of it. Nothing been happening with Chesterfield. I was last season. I was a little bit unfortunate to pick up an injury, and I almost didn't play that season. So it was just like a little bit tricky, and then it led me into Maidstone.
Yeah, look, I just want to touch on that before we move on to Maidstone, and look, I really appreciate you sharing that. I think it's so important, especially for men in football and day-to-day life, that we do speak about our feelings and how it can impact us. And a lot of people may have looked at you outside in and just looking from a football perspective going, actually, Lucas isn't able to cut it, taking the step up, when clearly that's not the case. And so the fact that you've actively seeked help and the clubs that you've mentioned there, Port Vale and Chesterfield, have supported you is really nice to hear from outside in, because we don't know what goes on within a football club, and sometimes in football environments have that old school mentality, don't they? So it's nice to see or hear from you rather that there are steps in place, and great to hear that you are feeling better within yourself now. And obviously, as you said, you're at Maidstone, and almost maybe with not all the time, but maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but a point to prove, and that man of the match performance against Ipswich, we've come full circle, is almost good enough to show you, look, you are capable to potentially play at a higher level. So I just want to touch on that, and maybe a nice way to sort of wrap up the podcast is you're 32 years young, I will throw that in there.
Yes, I like that.
32 years young, for sure. And obviously, look, you've caught a lot of media attention at the moment for your performances in the FA Cup, and Maidstone are looking at promotion. But from a really selfish point of view, over the next few years, because look, goalkeepers do have that longer lifespan. So there's an advantage. You said in the podcast that everyone wants a striker. Well, goalkeepers outlive strikers in terms of how long they can play for. Do
Yeah.
you see the Football League as a dream for you still? Do you think that there's still a possibility? Is that your target in terms of what you
Yes.
want to achieve?
Yes, 100%. I think after I left Chesterfield, it was very doubtful what was going to happen in my career because I haven't played much at last season, and I have this on the back of my CV that people is just like not trusting me enough to give me a chance to see, wow, is he right in his mind? Because few people saying to me like, "Oh, you're a great goalkeeper, but your mind is a little bit ups and downs." So I don't know if I can give you the opportunity. And that was the talk through the summer with my agent because some of the clubs they would say like, "Oh yeah, great goalkeeper," but we don't know. I'm not sure if I'm willing to take him just because of the red parts of the history that I put that on myself. But nowadays, I think that is just like the past. We scrap that. I just been proving that not just into the FA Cup that I'm a great goalkeeper, and I've been nominated the best 11 for mid-season here in the National League South. So this is just being work every single day and every single week, and then we have games. It doesn't come up as in oh, I had luck in that game, because it was just that game that it was on TV, so everyone's seen it. But this is just basically what I've been doing since now. So it's just like taking everything that I've been doing and then playing so well, and then it's just like carrying on from there. And obviously, you asked me about going back to the league. Obviously, that's the goal, and I'm 100% sure that I can do it. And then I know for sure, and then that I can prove and play much higher than this. And people just gonna give me the opportunity, and then I'll prove to them. I don't know.
And a goalkeeper who can score as well. There's not too many of those. I did see an article comparing who was the better goal, over your goal or Alisson's for Liverpool against West Brom. But we both know that you're definitely the winner in that one. But it's nice to be compared, isn't it? Right, to obviously a legacy like Alisson. Is it right? I don't know if I've got this. Maybe this is where my research lets me down right at the end. But did you play against Alisson in Brazil for under 23s? I read that he was at Internacional when you were at Athletico Paranense. Is that right?
Yeah, we had a friendly when he was at Inter, and then I was at Athletico Paranaense. It was like a cup, but it was more like a friendly cup, which was just like 6 or 8 teams at the time. So it was just like a 2 days cup. It was like more like a indoors into the training grounds. And yeah, I do remember playing against him. And I think right after that cup, his brother, which is a goalkeeper as well, got injured, and he was young, and if I'm not wrong, he was 19, 20 at the time. And when he was called to play for Inter for the first team, and from that we all know the very successful career that he had, which is inspiration, obviously, and we almost aiming to be as good and successful as him.
Yeah, 100%. Potentially one day meeting in the FA Cup. That would be a nice way, wouldn't it? But look,
Yes,
Lucas,
yes.
thank you so much for sharing everything, coming onto the podcast. Myself and everyone at the Copper Club wishes you well in the FA Cup, but also the league. Obviously, I know that's your
Thank you.
priority, but we wish you all the best. And once again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. And I wish you guys all the best.